Hey guys, Chris with Aquatic Ascent here. Today, we're going to be setting up some vinegar eel cultures to feed some extremely small rainbow fish fry that I'm going to have hatching out real soon. So I hope this is a really useful tutorial for you. We're going to show you how to make two different kinds of cultures. One is just a culture to have on hand. Here's a little starter I have. It's basically a bigger version of this. And another is one to harvest from, which is what we're going to be using this big repurposed bottle for. With that being said, let's get right into it. I apologize, my voice is kind of rough. I'm a bit under the weather right now, but we'll kind of kick this off. So, before you get started on culturing vinegar eels, you're going to need a few things. First of all, you need somewhere to put the culture. If you're going to be harvesting from it, you want a bottle with a long, thin neck. The reason for that is that your culture will be in the fat part of the bottle, but you can't just put straight vinegar into your tanks. It's going to mess off the pH balance. So what you do is you use this neck to have some clean, fresh water. A little more on that later. Whether it's that or just a mason jar to keep an extra culture in so that, say, this one is dwindling down, you can refresh it, restart it, whatever the case may be. Next, you're going to need a starter culture. You actually need these little guys before you can start culturing them. This is a very mature culture I bought from my local fish club, and I haven't harvested from it yet. So this is going to be my first culture setup, and I wanted to take you guys along with me. We're going to do a lot of research, a lot of reading, way too much reading, and I'm hoping this video will make it a lot easier for you. After you've got all that, a few extra things for the bottle. You'll need some filter floss, some coarse sponge, this is optional, and then some paper towels. I have a whole roll here and a rubber band. From there, you need an apple. This is going to be the food for your colony. It doesn't really matter what apple you get. I just grabbed the cheapest one there was, and I rinsed it really, really well to make sure that there were no contaminants on it. No pesticides, no chemicals, no nothing. That's really important because this is going to be the food that sustains your culture, and they're going to be living for months. Finally, you need some apple cider vinegar. One thing I saw when I went to buy apple cider vinegar is I found apple cider flavored vinegar, which is just distilled vinegar with flavoring. Don't get that. Make sure you get actual apple cider vinegar. I just didn't want to chance it. You can give it a chance. Let me know in the comments below if that didn't affect your culture. But I'm not really willing to risk it because I have fry that are going to be hatching soon. I just pulled about 250 eggs this morning. So, some of the reasons you might be culturing vinegar eels. The biggest one is to feed very, very small fry. This is great for bettas, rainbow fish, even rams, and some of the extremely tiny fry that come out of those eggs in their first few days. It's just good to have on hand. It's also extremely low maintenance. These can sit up on your shelf. You don't have to touch them for months on end, and you'll still be able to go back to them, check them out. I know that I've heard some people have left them alone and forgotten about them for up to 2 years, come back and still been able to find a population and get those breeding again. Let's get started. We're going to start off with the big bottle. This is the main one, and this is what we're going to be working with today. So, kicking things right off, this is just a old bottle that I took from a local club. It was a Tito's bottle. I shaved off everything, took off the labels, and now I just have a glass bottle with a neck. I'm going to take my vinegar, pop it. This is fresh. Ooh, yeah, that is very strong. And we're going to make sure that we fill this bottle right up and hopefully don't spill it all over the place. So while we wait for this to fill up, you're going to watch a time lapse. Okay. Now that we filled it up with our vinegar, I have that coming just to the bottom of the neck. I'm going to add a tiny bit more, just because I really want it to come to the bottom of where the bottleneck starts. After that, you're going to cut up your apple, push this to the side. You want to cut this nice and thin so that it fits in. You don't ever really need to do vinegar changes like we would do water changes on an aquarium. So that I've got my apple all cut up, I want to make sure that it can all slide down. I'm going to add my apple slices in. And this might mean I need to get a turkey baster and pull some of this vinegar, because these apples are going to fill this bottle up. We can always put more in later. Pack that in there. Now we take from our starter culture. I'm going to pour some of these in here. There's that from that culture. Given a few weeks, it'll get going, it'll get kicking. You're going to take your coarse sponge and just pack this in there. You want this to go all the way down. It's just going to be another barrier for your vinegar. Oh, don't get your finger stuck like I almost did. Get your sponge down in there. I might just leave that there. It was optional. Next, you're stuffing filter floss in. If you did it right, your coarse sponge will be right here, but since mine's not a perfect circle, I don't think my coarse sponge is going to get there. I'm going to get my filter floss, ball it up nice and tight, and this is going to go in the neck of the bottle. And when I have fresh water on the top of this, the two won't mix. So to harvest my eels, they breathe from the surface like betta fish do. So I'll put water in here, and they'll all come swimming to the top, and I can just pipette out the fresh water up here filled with eels. When I don't need to harvest anymore, I'll just remove all the fresh water, and they'll swim back down into the vinegar and do their little vinegar eel things. Finally, to finish this culture off, all you're going to do is put a paper towel over the top and wrap it with a rubber band. This is going to allow airflow and air exchange while keeping unwanted pests out. So there's one. The next culture is just meant to be a backup culture. In here, we're going to dump the rest of our vinegar. And I'm doing 2 of these backups just to be safe. Because I really want to make sure I can start a new culture should one crash. I'm going to fill that up about halfway. Take the starter culture we had from my aquarium club, dump a good bit in here, and dump the rest in here with the rest of the apple. I'm going to top these both off. Piece of paper towel over the top, and we're going to mason jar that thing back on. I'm going to rip it in half, save some paper. Mason jar the top, and we're going to poke holes in this mason jar so that there is an airflow and these worms can actually breathe. Otherwise, we'd suffocate them and kill the cultures. So there you guys have it. Vinegar eels all set for you. I'm going to leave this culture for about a week or so it can reproduce and have a bigger population for me. It'll be ready to feed when these fry hatch out. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. We're going to be doing a lot of breeding. As you can see, I just finished up a big project. We've got a big rack, and I'm excited to have you guys come along with me. Thank you for watching. Have a great one.